And Pastor Trump is on the phone like, I know you're not giving me no alibi right now. Hey y'all, welcome and/or welcome back to my channel. My name is Janae, if you didn't know, and today's video is another true crime episode, so if you're ready, let's go. Alright y'all, so hopping right into today's case, we're going to be talking about a man named Randy Stone, who was born on June 14th, 1967 in Kansas City, Missouri, not to be confused with Kansas City, Kansas, okay? Because if you say somebody from Kansas City, Missouri is from Kansas City, Kansas, they will have your head, okay? And vice versa. But nonetheless, Randy was born to Clara and Leonard Stone and grew up in a very close-knit community, the type where everybody know everybody goes to the same church. It's just one big community where you can't do nothing because everybody gonna know your business type deal. And it's at this church where everybody went to that Randy would meet a woman named Teresa Greenwald. And the two of them would become very good friends, and they maintained that friendship throughout the course of their childhood. But they never dated though. Not in high school, none of that. And after he graduated high school, Randy ended up leaving Missouri to go to the Marine Corps, where he served in Desert Storm. And in 1990, after completing his first tour of duty, Randy decided that he didn't want to re-enlist full-time and decided to go into the Army Reserves. And he returned to Missouri, where he would end up reconnecting with Teresa. And it is at this point that the two of them started to date. And the two of them got married in October of 1990, so a very short time after he returned home from the Marine Corps. And not too long after they got married, they would have a son named Michael in 1991. And in 1993 or 1994, I'm not really sure which one, they had a daughter named Miranda. And together with their kids, they would live a fairly normal, mundane life in Independence, Missouri. So it's 1995 now, and Randy has now opened up his own insurance practice through Farmers Insurance and has hired his wife to work in the office with him. I don't know if Teresa was a secretary, if she did the books, or what Teresa's actual job was within the insurance company, but nonetheless, she worked there. So essentially they woke up together, went to work together, went to bed together. They was always together. Now, a lot of things may or may not have been lost within the marriage, but one thing that stayed with them throughout the course of their marriage was that they were still very big into church. Just simply because of the upbringing that the two of them had. Church was still a main focus in their lives. And just like clockwork, every single Sunday, they was at Sunday service praising the Lord at New Hope Baptist Church. And not only did they attend the church, but they were very much so involved in the church as well. Because not only was Randy the deacon, but he also drove the bus sometimes when they needed to go to different events and stuff that they might have had. And he was also on the finance committee. And obviously, Teresa would take on the role of the deacon's wife. Now, I don't know what that entails. I'm pretty sure she had a major role in the church as well by being the deacon's wife. So yeah, like I said, very involved in the church. And so because they spent a lot of time there and the type of involvement that they had, their church family pretty much became their real family. And the two of them were very much so loved and respected by the whole congregation. So when Randy was found shot to death in his office at the insurance company on March 31st, 2010, the whole church congregation and half of the town was befuddled, behooved, hurt, sad, and just all of the things, because who and why? So like I said, it's March 31st, 2010, and 911 gets a phone call from Teresa, pretty much saying that she went into the office and she found her husband on the ground bleeding. She really don't know what happened, but she think he might have fallen, so they need to get there and they need to get there quick. So as the police are pulling up, Teresa is running out of the building. She collapses on the grass, starts crying her eyes out, begging and pleading for them to go help her husband. So once they get inside, they quickly realize that Randy did not just fall. He had actually been shot. And they also realized that this was not a robbery because Randy's wallet was still there. There was also about $151 left on the desk. And they know that this wasn't self-inflicted because there was no weapon found. But there was also no struggle. So this indicated to them that this was probably somebody that Randy trusted. As they looking around the scene, they find a .40 caliber shell casing. And in a trash can that is next to Teresa's desk, they find a ripped up love letter. And they note that it doesn't appear to be in Randy's handwriting. And so is this a potential motive? And so as they collected all this evidence at the crime scene, news is traveling and it's traveling fast. And friends and family started showing up outside of the insurance office. And as I stated before, they was a part of a close-knit church family, and their pastor David Love and his wife Kim was among the family and friends who showed up outside the insurance office. And in true pastor fashion, David, who they call Brother Love, showed up, started praying for the family, while his wife Kim kind of catered to Teresa because she knew that this had to be stressful for Teresa, and she also knew that she didn't want Teresa to be alone at any point. So when Teresa stated that she needed to go to the bathroom at a local business because she couldn't go to the one in the office because it's a crime scene, Kim decided that she would tag along with Teresa because, like I said, she didn't want her to be alone at all. But she would eventually have to leave Teresa's side though, because once they got back to where everybody was gathered, the police took Teresa down to the station for questioning. And obviously Kim couldn't be there with her. Now automatically the detectives was suspicious of Teresa because not only is she his wife, but she's the one who found him. And they made a mental note that once Teresa got into the back of the cop car, she pretty much had just stopped crying. And she even had said to the detectives that she was all cried out. And it was just a little bit suspicious that less than an hour after your husband of 19 years is found murdered in his office by you, that you all cried out. But you know, people grieve differently, so they couldn't really put too much on that. But once they got to the interrogation room, one of the detectives who was questioning Teresa realized that she was wiping her face, but there were no tears. So once again, they just made a little mental note of that and then continued on to do their due diligence in the investigation. And they asked Teresa, did she know of anybody who potentially might have wanted to harm her husband? And she threw out a couple of theories about a homeless guy, maybe a potential client who had been a little bit too flirty with her. Like, she was just throwing out random stuff, but she said she really just didn't know. So then they asked Teresa where was she at during the time that they believed the crime was committed, which was around like 4-ish p.m. that day. And Teresa said that she had actually had a chiropractic appointment at about 2 o'clock that afternoon. After she left her chiropractic appointment, she ended up going to shop around at Dress Barn. And she said that she left Dress Barn at 2:41 p.m. Very specific. Very specific. But anyways, she says she ran a couple of more errands before heading back to the office, and she was able to provide receipts for everywhere that she went to the detectives. Now, we all know that providing very specific times of when you left and having receipts readily available is not a good look. But let's continue. So even though all of this was a little bit suspicious to the detectives, they do realize that Teresa did have an alibi for the time that her husband was murdered. And so they knew that she wasn't the one who did it. But they did want to ask her one more thing. And they asked her about this ripped up note that was in the trash can. And at first, Teresa was like, I don't know what she's talking about. And so they leave the room to go get a photocopy of the note. And once they leave the room, they can hear Teresa whisper under her breath and say, oh great, I forgot about that. And so they come back in with this photocopy of the note, and miraculously Teresa starts to remember. And she said that it was an old note that she had found while she was trying to clean out her car or look for something. I don't really remember what she said, but nonetheless, she said that the note was old. And so when she saw it, she just ripped it up and threw it in the trash. And so while they side-eyeing her real hard, they still had to let her go. So while the family and friends are stopping by the house to offer their condolences and well wishes to Teresa, she is most definitely the grieving widow. She's crying, she is thanking everybody, she's accepting all the condolences and all the gifts and just being a grieving widow. However, when the insurance company's general manager, Robert Davis, comes to offer his condolences, Teresa's mood switch real quick, and she goes from grieving to business like that. And she take Robert down to their home office, and she spread out all the life insurance policies and try to make sure she got everything in order. And Robert is kind of like, okay ma'am, it's only been 24 hours since your husband been dead. I know that you need to get this stuff together, but pump your brakes, babe. We don't even have a death certificate yet. And that's the moment when he said he started looking at her sideways. But he wasn't the only one who noticed that Teresa, she was being the grieving widow. She was playing the part of a grieving widow, but she wasn't playing it very well, because people started to notice that she would only grieve when certain people was around, and it was really just obvious that she was faking. On top of fake grieving, Teresa would start to do some other strange stuff. So like 2 days after Randy's murder, she went to the tanning salon, and after she had got done, you know, doing her little tanning session, she asked the people at the front desk to transfer her husband's tanning points to her account. And I mean, yes, that would make sense. That is practical, because why not? But 2 days afterwards, though, that's what you're thinking about? And also, when she would call to give people who didn't live near them the news of Randy's death, she was very matter of fact. Like, yeah, Randy died. Like, all right. Moving on now. And one of the people that she called was another pastor friend named David Trump. And when he found out that Randy had been murdered, he was horrified and shocked and pretty much just lost for words. And Teresa was just like, yeah, very sad. So how's your life? How's your kids? How's your wife? You good? Because I'm good. Like, it was just really strange for Pastor Trump. And he was so bothered by this phone call from Teresa that he ended up calling their mutual friend, Pastor David Love, aka Brother Love. You know, the current pastor at Teresa and Randy's current church. And when he called Brother Love, he was pretty much calling to check on him to make sure he was okay, because he knew that the Stones had attended his church and that he and Randy were really close. But he also called him to talk about the conversation that he had just had with Teresa. However, before he could even get the conversation, before he could even start talking about Teresa, Brother Love started telling him about all the stuff that he did on the day of Randy's murder. And Pastor Trump is on the phone like, I know you're not giving me no alibi right now. And if I'm not mistaken, after he got off the phone with Brother Love, he called the police because the whole thing was just very strange to him. And so with this information, the police started asking around, and they found out that Brother Love had been loving on Teresa for the past 9 years. And that 6 years prior to Randy's murder, Teresa ended up getting pregnant. And everybody suspected that it was Brother Love baby because Randy had had a vasectomy. Now, granted, vasectomies can be reversed and sometimes they don't take. But people was pretty sure that Brother Love had made a love child with Teresa. But Teresa had ended up miscarrying, and after the miscarriage, the affair was swept under the rug and people just stopped talking about it. But even though it was swept under the rug and everybody had moved on with their life, Randy still decided that due to Teresa's infidelity, he was going to take her off of his life insurance policies. And I don't know if she knew that she had been taken off of the life insurance policies after that whole cheating scandal or not. But nonetheless, the detectives wanted to know if the pastor's wife, Kim, knew about the affair. And she did. She said that she knew he had a burner phone that he used to contact Teresa. And she knew that it was Teresa that he was contacting because she saw some of the text messages. And she said that she also took down the number of the phone that he was using and the number that he was calling, or texting rather. But it wasn't Teresa's main phone. Teresa had a burner phone too. Now, Kim says she never confronted them with this information, but she just had it tucked away. As the detectives continue to investigate, they find out that Brother Love and Randy had gotten into it a couple weeks prior to his murder. And they got into it because, like I said, Randy was on the finance committee and he realized that Brother Love was skimming some off the top, and he told the treasurer. And once he told the treasurer, he went back to Brother Love and told him, I know what you've been doing, and me and my family, we just about to go ahead and head on out and exit this church. We're going to find a new church home because we can't be a part of whatever you got going on over here. And apparently, Brother Love was pissed. Because of all of this, Brother Love became the prime suspect. But they still didn't have no evidence. So eventually, the ballistics testing comes back from the .40 caliber that they found at the crime scene. And they learned that Randy owned a .40 caliber Glock handgun. So they start to wonder if Randy had been shot by his own gun. And so they got a warrant to search Randy's gun case. And when they went to go search it, the only thing that they found was a holster. There was no gun there. And so with not finding the gun, they wanted to talk to Teresa because maybe she knows where it's at. And they also want to confront her about this affair that they've been hearing about. And at first she played dumb. She don't know nothing. That's how they always do. They don't never know nothing until the evidence starts to pile up on their ass. But eventually she did admit to the affair and that she did have a burner phone, but that she got rid of it when she went to the bathroom with Kim at the crime scene. Now, even though she admitted to all that other stuff, the affair, getting rid of the phone and all that stuff, she still said she ain't know nothing about the murder. She didn't know it was gonna happen, and she don't know who did it. She's completely oblivious, blind to it all, okay? But she said if she had to guess, she could see it being Brother Love. And the reason why she said she could see it being Brother Love is because she said she tried to end the affair with him, but he wasn't having it. And that's where the tore up note came from, because she tried to end it. He said no. He wrote her a love note and she tore it up because she was through. Now, in saying all of this, she slipped up and she said that Brother Love had actually texted her and told her not to go back to the office alone, indicating that he knew what was at the office and he didn't want her to see it. And so she knew that she was going to find something that she didn't want to find, but she decided to take her ass to the office anyway. And it also came out, I don't know if it came out during trial or during this interview, that she did not call 911 right away. She actually called her mama first. And her mama told her to call 911. And that's when the police was called. So she was in there with Randy's body for 9 whole minutes before ever calling to get him help. So now that Teresa has implicated Brother Love in the murder, the detectives ended up getting a search warrant to search his house, computers, phones, all that. And when they performed this search, they found emails, text messages, nude photos, all sent to Teresa. And even though she said that she had been breaking it off, the two of them was actually planning a whole ass wedding. They was planning on getting married. So Teresa was lying. So they get her back into the interrogation room where they get her to call Brother Love and try to get him to confess to the murder. But he wasn't going. He did not implicate himself in any way, shape, or form. However, he did end up going down to the police station. And as soon as he got there, he asked for a lawyer. So they wasn't about to get nothing out of Brother Love. And so they go back to Teresa and they like, okay, so if Brother Love is the one who committed this murder, and it appears as though Randy was shot with his own gun, how is it that Brother Love was able to obtain Randy's gun? And at first she was like, I have no idea. But then she was like, okay, well, he was in the room one time when I opened the safe, so he probably stole the combination and got it out the safe himself. And the police really wasn't buying none of that. But that was Teresa's story and she was sticking to it. He stole it. But y'all, even with all of this information and all these implications, they still did not have enough to arrest anybody. That is until they got the results back from pinging Brother Love's burner phone. And they learned that Brother Love's burner phone was very close, if not at, the crime scene at the time that Randy was murdered. And so finally, 8 months after Randy's death, Pastor David Brother Love was arrested. And as you can imagine, the town was absolutely mortified, because not the pastor. I mean, they should have been mortified when the pastor was sleeping with the deacon's wife, but nonetheless, they were mortified. Because not only did he have the audacity, okay, the nerve, the gall, to sleep with this man's wife, he killed this man, but he also had the nerve to deliver this man's eulogy. And then went to South Carolina, which is where he was arrested. And in November of 2011, Brother Love pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole. And from everything that I've seen, he'll be eligible for parole in 2030, 2036, or 2037. I'm not 100% sure which one of those is correct. But nonetheless, all of those are coming up pretty quickly. And as far as Teresa is concerned, she was charged with conspiracy to commit murder, and she pled guilty in June of 2012. And y'all, in the courtroom, this woman was crying her whole entire eyes out, talking about some forgiveness. Child, bye. And she ended up being sentenced to 8 years in prison, and she was let out in 2020. And if I'm not mistaken, she now lives in Kansas City, Missouri with her new man. With the wrap up of this case, I have to wonder, what was their plan for Kim? Because they did all of this to get rid of Randy. And granted, Brother Love was mad at Randy for, you know, snitching on him or whatever about stealing the money. But if this was for them to be able to be together, what was the plan for Kim? I don't know, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Thank you all so very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. But nonetheless, Randy was born to parents Clara and Ron Leonard. And after he graduated high school, Randy ended up leaving Missouri to go to the Marine Corps. And then in 1993 or 1994-ish, they had a daughter named Michaela Miranda. And he was also a part of the financial team. What? And he was also on the finance. Now, once the cops get inside, they quickly realize that... I was about to call him Timothy. No. Randy. And in the trash can next to Randy's desk, they also find Teresa's desk, actually. Ooh. And so their pastor, David Love, and his wife, Kim that he ended up calling their mutual friend Pastor Brotherly Love. No. Randy still decided that after the pregnancy scare, no, it wasn't a scare, child. Now, Teresa said that Kim. And Kim said that she knew, no, what? Damn.